What's good, YouTube? It's your boy DJ LiftOFF with the JP Way, and you don't want to miss this flight. In today's video, I'll be showing you all how perfecting a few basic scratch patterns with no crossfader at all will help you learn how to scratch much more creatively when you actually do use the crossfader and when you're not using the crossfader in general. So with that said, let's hop right into it. All right, DJs, the first thing you're gonna do is load up the Serato scratch sentence or whatever scratch sound that you would like to use on one of your decks. You're gonna go ahead and hit the play button so it's playing. And then essentially all we're gonna do is perfect these different scratch patterns or these different scratch movements. And then at the end, we're gonna put them together, and then we'll talk about how it helps when you are going to use the crossfader. But for this, obviously we have our crossfader in the middle. This is gonna be our first scratch pattern. And again, we're gonna wanna perfect all of these one by one. So we're gonna start off with just a baby scratch. Next, after the baby scratch, we're gonna move on to the scribble. All that is two quick baby scratches. And then you really wanna get this as fast as possible as well as clean as possible. Sometimes I like to lift my hand up a little bit like this. And then I'm always holding my platter as lightly as possible, but lifting this hand up does sometimes help with the speed. Next, we're gonna go to this. And if you've seen some of my previous videos, I've definitely showed this before. You're pretty much going fast and then medium speed and then slow. So being able to do this just shows a lot of hand control. All of this is essentially helping your hand control, and you'll see how it all comes together in the end. Okay, next we have this. As you can see here, all I'm essentially doing is a baby scratch first. And then we're doing just like a push forward or a forward scratch. And then we're pulling back slowly. You really want to focus on pulling that back slowly. Again, this is all about hand control. So quick, this is like a quick motion. Everything is quick besides that last pullback. And as you can see, if you look at my hand, it's kind of going from like an upwards position on the fast baby scratches and the forward scratch, and then I kind of flatten it out when I'm pulling back slowly. So again, I'm kind of high up when I'm going fast, and then whenever I'm moving in a slower motion, I'm flattening my hand out and I'm pulling back slowly. Now the last two that you're gonna want to know is just simply you're gonna be doing a forward scratch and then pulling back slowly, and then you're gonna be going forward slowly and then pulling back fast. So going fast forward and then, or the forward scratch fast, pull back slow. And then the opposite direction as well. Now, each of those scratch patterns and techniques that we just went over, all of those have something in common. What that is your hand never leaves the platter. So like the baby scratch, the scribble, the different hand movements, as you can see, as you perfect those, your hand never leaves the platter. Now, the last thing you're gonna wanna practice is actually dropping your track right at the beginning of that sound. Now, I still like to come back a little bit before the sound, even when I'm dropping something on the one. So it's definitely gonna take some practice. All of this stuff just takes practice. So essentially for this last one, this is what we're gonna be doing. So all you're doing here is you're pretty much doing a forward scratch where you're letting the platter go forward, you're catching it and you're pulling it back. Forward, catching it and pulling it back kind of quickly. As you can see, I'm not necessarily pulling it back right to the beginning of the track, but I'm coming back a little bit. So when you're dropping it on the one, as you continue to scratch more and more, you'll get the feel of how far you actually want to pull back so you're able to drop the track perfectly on that one. So those are all of the different patterns and techniques in total. Now let's see how we can put these together to actually seamlessly be creative and seamlessly make scratch patterns. So there's an example of me just freestyling using these different techniques that I just showed you, all not using the crossfader even just a little bit. Now, the point of this, again, hand control, figuring out how to be creative and not even worrying about the crossfader whatsoever. When you do start introducing the crossfader, a lot of these movements are going to be the same. You're just going to be doing some crabs, some transformers. You're going to be doing some chirps where you're just cutting off the sound. But essentially, if you're able to do these movements and you're actually able to scratch and make decent scratch patterns or even good scratch patterns without the crossfader, when you actually start using the crossfader, it'll be that much easier. For example, so I like to do a lot of my transformers with my left hand. So think about this. So one of the movements was this. So now when you think about that with the crossfader, let's say we have the crossfader closed. We start with the transformer where we're just doing like a click and a forward scratch, catching that platter, closing the crossfader, and then we're coming back with 3 clicks. So as you can see there, that's the exact same hand movement. Of course, you have the chirp scratch, which is basically a baby scratch, but just using the crossfader. The same exact hand movement. So let's say we had this. So as you can see there, that was me doing the same type of hand movements and scratch patterns that we use without the crossfader, but then incorporating the crossfader. And I only show that to pretty much show that the most important thing that you can do is learn those fundamental hand movements. The more creative you can be without the crossfader will definitely translate into you actually DJing and scratching with the crossfader as well. But again, it's super important to learn those basic hand movements and perfect those, and even try to be as creative as possible. Make scratch patterns without the crossfader. So then I'm telling you, once you do start using the crossfader, even if you already use the crossfader now, these are still good practice techniques for you to use. All right, DJs, I hope you all enjoy learning those scratch patterns, and I hope that each of those help you learn how to scratch more creatively. Remember, keep practicing without the crossfader first. Then you can start implementing the crossfader using those same exact fundamentals that you learned in this video. Now, if you like the video, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Drop a comment as well. Hit me up with some more suggestions if there's some things that you want to learn next. But without further ado, appreciate y'all for stopping by. I'll catch y'all on the next one.
Yeah, I stay with the pack. I stay on attack. I come from the burbs. I stayed in the trap. Yeah, I stay with the facts. Yeah, that's just a fact.